Hello and welcome to Creative Business Launch. This is your free training to go along with the free guide that you've downloaded. And I'm going to share with you today my exact process and steps to launch your creative business online. If you're here, you might be an artist or designer that offers a unique product or service. You might have creative skills that don't necessarily fit into a mold. You might want to take control of your creative future and break through any positions that you currently have that you don't want to be in anymore. I work with many artists, designers, and other creatives that fall into these categories, and I've seen how frustrating and confusing the process of running an online business can be. This is a really familiar feeling, so know that you are not alone. There's a difference between making what you love and making a business out of what you love. So that's what we're going to dive into today and give you some real actionable steps to start moving forward with. I just want to know, are you a longtime business owner? Have you been doing this for years and years and years, but maybe you haven't quite made the move to selling online? Or are you brand new and you are thinking about starting a business with your creative skills? Or are you hoping to take your ideas to the next level? Are you somewhere in the middle and you're just looking for that next boost to get started with? Anyone can be a business owner. All it takes is creativity. You already have everything it takes to be able to do this. You have creative skills that are valuable, and I'm going to help show you how to put all the pieces together in order to make a sustainable, long-lasting creative business. I am Stephanie O, and I'm a longtime creative educator, graphic designer, web designer, and a lot more. I help strategize creative businesses. I help you navigate the creative process, and I help you gain the confidence and skills in order to take on all these challenges on your own. I help you grow your creative biz, and that's what I want to help you with today. I have an organized approach to this really overwhelming task, so that's what we're going to dive into. This is my exact plan for building creative businesses, my organized creative process, my 3 areas of focus, and I work with empowering you with the skills that you need to keep moving forward. This is my literal exact plan for building creative businesses. If you look at page 2 of your guide, we are going to look at the creative process. And this is the logical process that I follow every single time I encounter a creative challenge. So whether it's a business challenge or a project I'm working on for a client, this is the process that I use to approach any creative challenge. And a lot of secrets can be found right here in this process. I always start by identifying the challenge. This means we have to research and collect all the existing information that's out there that might relate to our creative challenge. So we go out, and as artists and designers, we research the current context. We try to understand everything we can about the problem before we start coming up with ideas to solve that challenge. Then next up, we work on generating ideas. We often call this brainstorming. You might sketch or whatever it is, maybe writing lists, whatever it is that you do to generate ideas. What we're doing here is thinking. We're taking all those challenges that we identified, all those parameters, and we're thinking about ways around those challenges, around the parameters, and the challenges that stand in the way of reaching your goals here. So in generating ideas, we are brainstorming and thinking about the challenge. And then in step 3 here, we practice our ideas. And this is where I think a big part of the creative process happens when we are sitting down at our desks or workstations to work on an actual final product. This is where we're practicing ideas. We've been playing with all the ideas and generating. We were discovering all kinds of new things and identifying the challenge. Once we get into step 3 here, this is really where we can dive in to creating. And a lot of times for creatives, this means we're inventing new things. We might be inventing something that nobody has really thought about before, or we might be innovating by combining different ideas that make a lot of sense to us, but maybe nobody has really put those together before. In step 3, we are just practicing all those amazing ideas that you generated in step 2. You might mix and match, you might piece different things together, but the main thing here is to just try stuff out. Just start making stuff. And then in step 4, we launch our ideas. We present and share our ideas with a trusted audience. And this can happen in a lot of different ways, depending on the challenge, depending on who you want to speak to at that particular point. But over and over and over again, we launch our ideas. And this can be kind of intimidating for a lot of creatives, I know. Putting ourselves out there can be really difficult. I think creatives kind of have a sensitive spirit. And so once we work so hard on creating a certain project and then we share it online or share it with a friend, whatever we do to launch ideas, it can be a little nerve-wracking because you're not sure exactly what people are going to say. But the value here is that you're going to get feedback. That is the only way to keep moving forward in the creative process, is to put your ideas out there, try them out, and see what people think of that, about them, and then take that feedback and incorporate it into all of your ideas. It might be completely valid. It might be not quite right. You don't have to listen to every single thing that people say, of course, but it can be so valuable just to collect all that feedback, have it in one place, and then you can really consider it. You can consider what it means based on what you're working on. And then, of course, that refining stage, refining our ideas in step 5 here. The creative process is a continual cycle. And you've probably heard this before, but as soon as you start reaching a final solution, that's the point that you can start evolving it and growing it. We've gained some valuable feedback in step 4, and that means in step 5, we can really do all that considering and we can start refining our ideas for that solution. So refining our ideas is absolutely essential, and this is really the key to my overall process, is that we always go back and we consider all the choices we've made along the way in order to have the absolute best solution we possibly can. So this is the process that I use over and over and over again to identify challenges in regards to my creative business or with all my creative projects. But these are the actual exact steps that I take. This can be so helpful because if you are proceeding through the process and at some point you get stuck or overwhelmed with something, you can always go back to this exact series of steps and you can figure out where something went wrong. You might have taken a path that maybe wasn't the correct answer in the long run. Maybe you go back to that certain step, whether it's identifying the challenge, maybe you missed a parameter, or in generating ideas, maybe there's an opportunity that you didn't come up with yet. Wherever it is in the process, you can always go back and you can have this structured series to rely on in order to keep moving forward. If you keep practicing these steps and you're open to that refining ideas stage, getting that feedback from people in the launching ideas phase, and then applying it and refining ideas and evolving and being flexible with your business offerings or your creative skills, whatever it is, if you follow this process, you will be overcoming creative challenges. So this is the structure that I love to use. I use it with students, clients, everybody I work with. I basically use this exact process. So I want to show you how I use this process and apply it to building your creative business. On page 3 of your guide, I have provided you with my 3 areas of focus in order to better organize all of these overwhelming tasks that you might be aware of when it comes to creating your online business. These 3 categories I've identified are strategy, branding, and online presence. In this first category here, we are looking at planning your foundation. This has everything to do with that marketing strategy. Through these categories, you can build all those things that you need in order to have a successful, organized, planned out marketing strategy. So these are the categories I've identified under that. Goods and services. What are your business offerings? What are those things that customers might connect with you? And this might sound obvious, and I hear a lot of people say, oh, I know what my goods and services are. You would be very surprised. Once you start digging through these categories, there might be possibilities that you haven't considered yet. You might be limiting yourself in some ways that you're not really aware of, but goods and services is where it starts. Your actual skill and how you apply that to what you make or what you provide. Your goods and services are the absolute core of your business. Next up, I have audience and competition. With your competition, we're really looking to understand the market and what's out there. And I really like approaching competition rather than like versus. I like to look at competition as collaboration. So that's really how I like to approach that category. And then with audience, what you're trying to work on here is also building that community around your business. So you might see with some competition, some of your competitors in the marketplace, that they have big audiences and that they are really effectively connecting with those audiences. You want to look at what those people are doing and how it might apply to your business, your offerings, and the audience that you might be reaching. Really what all this is about, it's about understanding the market, but understanding opportunities in the market. I think that's really key. And with both of these categories, what you want to start working on is your Google keyword research and hashtag research for social media. Those two things together, and those are two separate things. Those things together will help you identify your specific place in the market and how to best reach your audience. Next up, I have personal and business goals. I think it's really important to understand exactly what it is you want out of your business and exactly what your business needs to do in order to help you fulfill all the goals. You don't want to run yourself ragged, trying to reach unattainable goals. And if your business is driving you crazy, that's not why you got into this in the first place. You probably want to start a business because you love your creative skill. It's something you love to do over and over again, and you want to offer that to people. So if you are getting burnt out by your creative business, something here in your personal and business goals is not lining up. So that is a really important category to keep an eye on always. And then finally, of course, is this comprehensive marketing strategy. All the four other categories here build up into this marketing strategy. And this is really your action plan for how to reach your goals. Your marketing strategy takes all these things into consideration, and it is your actionable plan for the steps that you're going to take in order to reach the audience that you want, stand out from the competition that you've identified, and connect that audience with the goods and services that you offer, those strategic goods and services that you offer. All of this can be combined into a marketing strategy document, and that is really going to be a document that's going to help you throughout your branding process and throughout this last step of launching everything online. So that is the first category here, is planning your strategy, planning your foundation. In order to do all that, I would recommend really diving into each one of those categories individually. And then once that's complete, it's going to be so much easier to work on your branding. In the middle here, branding your business, building your brand up has a lot to do with these categories right here. First off, I want you to think about your brand message. This is what you're saying. What are you saying to connect with your audience? What is the message and the mission really of your creative business? And here, a great practice to do is to just start writing. Be yourself. Let your personality come through when you're speaking about your business. But your brand message is that cohesive driving force for what you want your business to succeed. And then your brand voice is really how you're saying it. How are you forming your copy for your website, for your email list, for your social media captions? How are you actually building these messages into a voice that is right for you? So the brand the brand message is all about that mission. It's like a mission statement. And then the brand voice is how that mission is actually getting delivered through words to your audience on different platforms. A big part of your branding is your name. And you might already have a creative business name in mind, and that's totally fine. But I would recommend, as always, like with everything else here, always consider it. It can be more difficult to change, but than some other things like your visual brand. But if you really need to position your company a certain way, your name can be really, really powerful. It can also limit you in certain ways. So if you have the word photography or the word artist in your brand name, will that always apply to you? Or are you going to start offering, in addition to photography, are you going to offer a logo design or a website design or anything in addition to photography? Your name there might be limiting yourself if you've excluded anything or defined yourself in a certain category. So your name is something to consider very, very heavily. Logo and visual branding is my next category here. And this is where my heart lies. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I have built so many visual brands from the ground up, companies big and small. And this is really where a lot of my interest started when it came to running my creative business. But in running my creative graphic design business, I started learning all of these other things. And now I help creatives like you wrap your heads around all these confusing categories. So logo and visual branding, though, is one of my absolute favorites. And I think it's really, really important. This is how you appear online, but people really interpret a lot about your business through the visuals that they're presented with. So you can really speak without speaking, really, through your logo and your visual branding. So this is super important. And even the best graphic designer would need answers from you about all the topics we've talked about so far in order to create a logo and visual brand. So I know that you could either DIY, and this is a graphic designer telling you that you could probably DIY a logo and visual brand, or you could hire somebody to help you with those final graphics and things like that. But the core of this comes down to what your brand message is, what your brand voice is, and the logo and visual branding is really that beautiful package in order to deliver the message really crystal clear. People really interpret a lot through logos and visual branding. So whether you're designing it on your own or whether you want to work with a professional, logo and visual branding is one of the major categories you're going to work on when it comes to building your business's brand. And then my last category in branding here is photography. This is super important these days. Obviously, with social media, it's one of your primary free ways to get your message out there. And your brand photography can really speak a lot for your brand. So Instagram photos and things like that, when you start creating a cohesive look that feels true to your voice and your message and your visual brand, your brand photography will really help tie together that entire package. If you look at my website, you can see that my photography is all very light, bright, and airy. And if you look at my designs, my visual brand, my designs are also very light, bright, and airy. So that's very much my voice, the way that my brand expresses itself, and the way that it speaks to you in the best way possible. So photography is something that you really want to consider in addition to things like your name and your logo. And then the last section here I have is launching your online presence. So my third section, launching online. Starting off, you want to start thinking about how you're going to host e-commerce online. There are a lot of ways to do this. If you have questions about this, reach out to me and let me know. And I also have a lot of YouTube videos about how to choose e-commerce platforms. But this is basically how you're going to sell your offer online. There's a lot of information out there about website design and landing pages and sales funnels and all that kind of stuff. All of that is related, and I think a lot of it is valid for creative business owners. But your e-commerce website can actually happen in a lot of different ways. It can happen with very low cost ways, or you can pay for a service that's around $30 a month, like Shopify, and you can host your e-commerce online through that. A lot of the platforms these days make website design so easy. If you're struggling with any of that, please just reach out and let me know. I'd love to help you with that. And then next up in the online category, I have social media. As I mentioned before, this is one of the primary free ways that you can get your brand out there, and it's the way that your audience is able to really connect and show off their support for your brand. So social media is very, very important, but I don't think that it is the absolute most important. I think you see a lot of business gurus out there and mentors and things like that who focus really specifically on a certain social media platform, or they focus on building a landing page or building a sales funnel. All of those things are not ways to 100% take on your business. If you are looking to build your business from the ground up, all of these categories are appropriate. So there's no reason to go 110% in on social media. You have to first have your goods and services. You have to have an online website that people can visit. All of these other things, your visual brand and expression and all that good stuff, all of that goes into a successful online presence. So don't listen to anybody that says, well, we can make you rich with Instagram. It's just, that's not how this works. You have a profitable product and skill. We're going to figure out how to get you out there and help connect you with paying clients. And then next here, I have advertising. This is all about scaling your reach. And so with social media, you're able to interact with these smaller audiences, but paid advertising, I think, is one of the dirty little secrets that some of the online gurus use themselves, but then they don't actually tell you, yes, we use paid advertising. Well, guess what? Yes, I use paid advertising, of course. I do not currently use any social media advertising. I do not pay for promoted posts on any platform like Instagram or Facebook, but I do use paid advertising strategies through some other means. And so that is a category that you definitely want to consider. And it totally changes depending on what your business is, where your audience is looking. All those Google keywords really come in handy here. But paid advertising is a category you really want to consider. Next up here, I have audience engagement, and this goes back to that brand experience. How are your audience members or potential community members, how are they connecting with your message, your offerings, and the other members of the community? I have a lot of tips for you on this. Keep updated with some YouTube videos or the Facebook group if you want some more tips on audience engagement, but this is key. These days, people look for that social proof. People want to know that other users are finding value in what you offer. They want to know that before they're really going to pay for any of your services or purchase any of your products. They want to know that you have a thriving online community. It just shows that you're a working individual, you are actively working with clients, and you are there for them. That's really what it comes down to. So audience engagement can be really, really important here. And then, of course, ongoing evolution. I think that this can be really difficult for a lot of business owners because you get started in something and then it exists like that for maybe a couple years and you kind of get stuck that way. I was offering visual branding, logo design, website design, just on a client by client basis. I was quoting things hourly, project by project. I was working like a typical graphic designer. And at some point I realized that that was not the best fit for me anymore. I started offering all of these coaching services. And even when people were hiring me as a graphic designer or a web designer, what they really ended up getting was coaching services. So that's what made me realize I had to package all of these skills together and give them to you in a really organized, cohesive way that makes the most sense for creatives. So ongoing evolution is really, really important. It goes back to that refining your ideas step. All of these categories that I'm showing you right here, all of these are really, really important for your overall creative business. They all work together, and it is very important to completely consider one category before moving on to the next. In order to have a successful brand, you need to have that really cohesive, strong strategy. In order to launch everything online, you have to have that strategy and that visual brand into place so that when you start building a website, you just click in some code numbers for the colors and upload the image files for your logo. Once you have that branding in place, it's so much easier to launch online with a cohesive message. So all of these areas really work really closely together. So don't think that any one of these is more important than the other. I really believe that everything here is really, really important. What I want to do to help you get through all of these categories, I've provided you with a little list. Let me pull this up for you here. In your free guide here on, let's see, page 4, I have your interactive checklist. And so what I want you to do, pause this video, take a few minutes and go through each of these these categories we just talked about, and give yourself a little self-assessment and see how you're feeling in all these different categories. You might feel like your goods and services are doing pretty well, but maybe you're a little less confident for your targeted audience. Maybe you know who some of the competition is that's out there, and maybe you kind of know what your goals are, but maybe you do not feel that comfortable about creating an entire marketing strategy based on all of that. Give yourself a little self-assessment and be really honest. Nobody's going to see this unless you want to. If you share it with the hashtag Creative Business Launch on Instagram, I will probably feature you in my story. So I would love to see your progress on this checklist and anything else with that hashtag on Instagram. So again, just take a minute, think through all of these categories and give yourself that self-assessment. What are your biggest challenges when it comes to building this creative business? We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. So it's really important to just be honest and identify those in order to be able to move forward with confidence. As I mentioned, I think of these 3 phases like stages. And the secret to that is going back and revising. By the time you finish, you're already going back to step 1 and you're starting over to really assess everything. They say that when they paint the Eiffel Tower, they start, and once they finish, they go back to the beginning and they start painting again. It takes that long to paint it, and then they just have to start right over again. So it's kind of like that for growing a creative business. This is a business plan for success, for long-lasting success. I don't want this to be a plan for 1 year or 2 years. This is a plan to keep growing with you and keep your business evolving based on whatever is happening in the world. So I want to show you, I have a little bit more here to show you some help that I have. I have created some brand new virtual courses to help you through each of these categories. I have 3 separate virtual courses. Of course, we start with planning our foundation and our marketing strategy. Then in course B, we can build our brand, including the visual brand, the photography, the naming, and the voice and message. And then in step C here in course C, we will launch online. And so all those categories that I've gone through already, if you feel like you need a little bit of help, these are awesome, awesome courses for you. Each course, so A, B, and C, each come with 2.5+ hours of video guided lessons. In order to support that, I've created a professionally designed workbook, a really comprehensive workbook for each of these courses. Each course has a workbook with it that is over 15 pages, and it guides you exactly through that design process, that creative process that I mentioned to you at the beginning. We go through step by step for each of those categories. So in course A, planning your foundation, Chapter 1 is all about goods and services. We go through the creative process through identifying the challenge, generating ideas, practicing, launching, and refining ideas just for your goods and services. And then we have another creative process for chapters 2 and 3 and so on. So each one of these courses, I really help you step by step through the workbook and the guided video lessons to help you through all of these stages in order to plan the business that best fits you. Also with these courses, I offer Google Doc templates. And so at the end of each chapter, I have a link where you are creating your own copy of a Google template. And by the end of course A, you would have an entire marketing strategy. You would have a Google template for each of your business offerings, your audience, your goals, your competition, and your overall marketing strategy. So altogether, you would have a packet template of 5 documents that together create a really cohesive, strong marketing strategy. Then in course B, we would be building your brand guidelines. And so all of those things we talked about, your visual brand, how your brand sounds through your voice, typing captions and things like that. We're going to create swipe files so that you can just pull text that you've already created and identified as successful, effective text. So in building your brand, we're going to create an entire brand guideline. This is super, super valuable in order to then launch online. In launching online, we are going to create a really cohesive plan in order to have an effective online presence from step A, B, C, for your clients to connect with your offer. So in Course C, we create a really, really comprehensive plan in order to put all of these things in place. And I wanted to mention also, with these online virtual courses, the way I've planned all of this, each course would take about 5 weeks, and it's completely self-paced. So if you have one of those categories that you feel like you were stronger in and you don't need to spend as much time on one of those chapters, you can zip through a chapter maybe, but you might be surprised. There might be some stuff there that you didn't think about before. So I would love for you to take the time in each chapter to really consider all the possibilities. Go through that creative process in a really logical, organized way, and then you'll be able to see all these answers right in front of you. And so it is self-paced, but each course takes about 5 weeks. So you could get it done one whole chapter. You could have your entire array of business offerings, goods and services, all planned out in 1 week's time. All of this is with the support of me personally. This is a huge part of these virtual courses. So even though it's self-paced, even though you could zip through a chapter in a week and have a really cohesive list for that chapter, you have me to guide and support you. You can send me messages at any time if you use the chat button in the bottom right corner of my website. You can text me and you can ask me all your questions as you go through here. But more importantly is that you have community support. I have a private community, not on Facebook, that supports all of these creative business launch courses. So when you sign up for one of these virtual courses, you get automatic access to our community support. And this is a community of creative business owners that are going through the same challenges as you. So I'm there to help answer any questions. Other people might have great insights for you. You might find some creatives that are working in a similar way, or maybe a certain material or something like that. You are getting access to this private community. So it is not on Facebook. It's not the free Facebook group that you might already be a part of. You have a separate community that is really, really easy to access and more flexible and branded just for us. So it's really our private place to come and get answers for what we need. So I wanted to share all this with you because I really feel like these virtual courses are a huge value for you. With the virtual courses, you're able to lean on my expertise. You're able to learn the skills that you need in order to make your business a success. You are going to gain all the skills and tools necessary in order to do this. When you're doing that, you are taking control of your creative future. There's no reason for your business to look like somebody else's, or for your Instagram to look like somebody else's, or whatever it is. You have a unique creative business, and I'm going to help you find all of that information. You already know what it is that makes your business really, really unique, and these programs help you get there. They just help you step by step in a really organized way discover all of these answers that you already have. If you hired me or any other designer or business strategist to do all of this for you, to create your logo and your website and your social media and to take some branded photos, if you were to hire people to do that, you would be spending thousands of dollars. No joke. You would be spending a lot of money in order to have a marketing strategy handed to you, a brand guideline handed to you, and that online plan handed to you. That would cost you a lot of money. And so what you're able to do here with these virtual courses is to go through this process on your own. You already know exactly the answers for your creative business. And that's what I think is so special about this program. You already know the answers to the questions, and I can help you design your own business that's really unique to you. That is my goal for you through all of my Creative Business Launch program. I have helped a number of creative business owners. And what I want to offer you today is this method to start making your sales online. I want to help you reach those creative business goals. And I really, most importantly, I want you to feel empowered as a business owner. As I've said many times, you have what it takes. So I have an offer for you that you just can't miss. I have worked, as I mentioned, I worked with many, many creative business owners, and I hear a lot of these positives, and it just makes me so, so happy. Charity down here said she is purely interested in her client successes, and that could not be more true. I really, really love hearing all your success stories. And your challenges. When you overcome those challenges, it is just the absolute best. And I love celebrating all those with you. I just heard back from one of my beta testers on one of the courses. She just started chapter 1 in planning your foundation. So she's working on goods and services, and she felt like she made concrete progress. That was just the best testimonial for me. She felt like she made concrete progress towards creating that cohesive business offerings list. And she also mentioned that she loved the Google Doc. In order to create that customized document for you, the Google Doc template really comes in handy for you to customize everything and make it really your own. So I really loved that testimonial. I'm so, so happy that this virtual course is helping people find these answers and create their creative businesses. That is my absolute number one goal for you. So I was really, really happy to hear that it is starting to help everybody. So I'm getting great feedback, and I really, really want you to join us. If you are ready, I do have some limited availability for my virtual course programs. It is limited availability because, as I mentioned, I offer this really one-on-one attention. So I'm answering via text message for all your questions. I'm helping support you in the community. I host an online webinar every month with frequently asked questions. I want you to be able to get in on this offer. So please act fast because of that limited availability. As soon as spots are filled up, I won't open more spots for another round. So please let me know if you're interested in this program, and I would love to get you signed up as soon as I can. I'm going to follow up with a special pricing link. And so in the next email you get from me, you're going to be able to just click the link, and the lowest price possible will automatically be applied to your cart when you add the virtual courses and go to checkout. So all you have to do is wait for that email from me. It will come very, very soon, and you will be able to click the link, immediately getting the absolute best offer I possibly can give you on this. You're going to get all of these resources I mentioned. So the video lessons, the workbook, the community, the text message support, all these awesome things to help you move forward in your creative business, you're going to be able to get at the absolute lowest price I'll ever offer. That's my promise to you. Because you took the time today in this little webinar to learn a little bit more and take those first steps, I really want you to be able to have the best access you possibly can to these virtual courses. I cannot wait to help you get started in this process of starting your creative business. I really want to help you step by step overcome all of these challenges that you might be facing. So go ahead and act now. And if you post your checklist, go ahead and complete that checklist, find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. We really want to see what you're thinking when it comes to your online business. What are the biggest challenges for you, and how can we possibly help you with those? So snap a picture of your checklist once you've completed it, load it onto Instagram, and tag hashtag creative business launch. We will feature you in our story, and I would love to see all those challenges that you might be facing. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions about anything I've offered you today. There is a little link in the bottom right-hand corner of my website, a little yellow chat icon. You can click that, and you will literally be connected with me over text message. So please send me any questions. If you would like to know more, all you have to do is send me a message, and we might even have a consultation call in order to help answer some of your questions about it. I would love to hear from you, and I can't wait to start helping you. I really believe in this program, and I know that I can help you overcome even the biggest challenges that might be in the back of your mind. So reach out today. I would love to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again here in Creative Business Launch.